Way. Oh, okay. Good for you. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. And they're pretty good. Funny you say that because we took a photo made for the good house. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious. He has a flyer. Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how technology is but you remember these things as a kid. I remember going to get the station. My dad, you know, you got so many apps. So it was $10, you know, and it was like, you know, I could do that as a kid. That's crazy. You missed. Yeah, you don't have been recorded or anything. You're gonna have to wait for it. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right, if anybody would like to speak on an agenda item under public comments, the forms are filled out right here. You would fill that out, and also would you please silence your phones? We will begin shortly. Bill.
How are you?
Yeah, we have about stories. Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Okay. That's fair. All right.
You not ready?
All is well. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. All right, would you please stand? We'll open our meeting with prayer, and I've asked David McLaughlin from the Chieftain Memorial Methodist Church of Edgewood to open our prayer today.
Would you please bow your heads? Lord, we just thank you for this day and for this opportunity to gather to do the work of your people, elected and appointed. We thank you for those who have stepped into leadership roles to steward the resources and the time and energy of those they serve. May they seek your guidance in all the decisions they make for the good of our county. We ask that you watch over all the county employees, that they may serve well and be protected from harm. And for those who come with concerns seeking resolution, we ask for your wisdom and discernment to prevail in providing clarification and justice in alignment with your will. In the little things and in the big things, the tough decisions and the planning for our future, guard our lips and guide our tongues to speak in ways that lift up and not tear down, but seek resolution and hope for the future. I pray all these things in the name of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands God. Pledge to the Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I will call our meeting to order. 9:01 on Wednesday, February the 26th, 2025. And we do have a quorum present, and I apologize for the commotion in the hallway. We have a jury selection going on, so that's why we got pretty crowded today here at the courthouse. Next, we have general announcements, and I would like to award 2 employees their 15-year service pins. They are here today. First, it'll be Misty Stanberry. Bobby, I'm sorry, Bobby.
I mean, I've been here 15 years.
I'm not out of county.
Yeah.
So there is your pin, 5 year. We had several others, but they couldn't make it, so we'll do it for another day. You go, right here. Let's do it again. Thank you. Yeah. Do that. Thank you. I have a 15-year. It's Judge Chris Martin.
15 feels like 5.
Thank you.
Very briefly, I counted the blessings we work here in Van Zandt County and have for the last 20 or so years. 15 as an elected official. And so a lot of great people around here. I love working here. And so here's the 15 more.
All right, do we have any other general announcements? If not, we will move on to our public comments. Public comments, you have this is an opportunity for people to speak on items on the agenda. And they have up to 5 minutes to speak. And so first we have Ann Nelson with the Democrat Party speaking on item number 15.
Morning, everybody. I'm Ann Nelson. I'm with the Van Zandt County Democrats. I'm the precinct 2D chair, and I'm here to talk about agenda item 15, which regards a contract with Komatsu Architecture for a restoration project for the courthouse. So the firm seems to have the experience and expertise to do a historical restoration. Another county with a similar courthouse has used this firm, and their website is really impressive. They show the restored courthouse. And we, as Democrats, support preserving our history and supporting Van Zandt County. So we are definitely in support of agenda item 15 to go ahead and get a restoration contract going with this firm. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Keith Pearson to talk on item number 15 also.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'd like to thank y'all for your work that y'all are doing for Van Zandt County. I'd like to make just a comment on that prayer that was said. I appreciate the deal that he said. We should guard our lips and our tongues. We're all neighbors. We all live in Van Zandt County. We all say we believe in Jesus Christ, but sometimes we don't act like he would like for us to act. Thank you for what you're doing. On number 15, I'd like to, not that I'm for or against the courthouse restoration, but I'd like to remind you that typically, when we go out for a contract, we form a committee, and then we go out request for proposals to see how many architects are out there that would like to come tell you, hey, here's what we do. That's what we've done. Historically, that's what we did on the jail. We got a committee. We looked at several architects. They came back and told us what we did. The committee made a recommendation back to the court, and the court decided which way to go. This doesn't say how much these, contracts would cost. But that's what I would like to get y'all to consider on that. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Item number 4, consent agenda. Consent agenda items considered routine by the Commissioners Court and enacted in one motion. There's no separate discussion on these items unless the county judge or commissioner requests that item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Are there any items that need to be removed or discussed separately? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make motion.
All right, Commissioner Phillips made a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Yep.
Commissioner Williams, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 5, discuss and consider accepting Van Zandt County Genealogical Society annual report for 2024. And I believe we have somebody here is to make that presentation.
Good morning. Well, I'm Carrie Wolverton. I'm with the Van Zandt County Genealogical Society. I'm the president. And I'm also the manager of the Van Zandt County Library of Genealogy and Local History. And I always come because Pearson says that I always have these fun stories. And of course, I have one for you today. County history is a big deal with us. And so we award some things, some certificates with the Genealogical Society. One of them is 100 years living in Van Zandt County. And another one is early settlers of the Free State of Van Zandt. And I'm going to award 2 certificates today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our early settlers. Milton Brown Fisher was born in 1845 in Decatur County, Tennessee, to John Wesley Fisher and Nancy Green White. When Milton was 23, he married Tennessee E. Yarborough, who was 21 in 1869. Tennessee was born in 1848 in Decatur County, Tennessee, to Henry Yarborough and Eveline Kendall. In 1870, Milton and Tennessee were living between Van and Garden Valley, Texas. In 1900, 1910, 1920, and 1930, they were living in Precinct 4 in Van Zandt County. Milton was a farmer. Their children were Nancy Genora, Henry L., Bedford F., Abra, Bessie, and Lee. Tennessee passed away in 1930 in Colfax. Milton died in 1938. They are buried in the Corinth Cemetery. Milton and Tennessee's daughter, Nancy Genora Fisher, was born in 1873. In Van Zandt County at the age of 26, Genora married Benjamin Pinckney Hudgens, who was 21. In 1899 in Van Zandt County. Pinckney was born in 1852 in Fayette County, Georgia, to William Hudgens and Rebecca Holland. In 1900 and 1910, Genora and Pinckney resided in Grand Saline. Pinckney was a farmer. He and Genora's children were Charlie Lindsay, Jesse Pink, Boss P, Frank Milton, and BP Pete Hudgens. Pinckney passed away in 1910 in Grand Saline. Genora passed away in 1956. She was buried in the Creebleville Cemetery. Frank Milton Hudgens was born in 1907 in Grand Saline. His father, Pinckney, passed away when he was just 2 years old. Frank married Fanny Bethina Miller before 1933. Bethina was born in 1906 in Wood County, Texas, to Samuel Oscar Miller and Allie Reed Osborne. Frank was a farmer. And by the way, I have his picture. Their children were Dorothy and Nadine. Frank passed away in 1981 in Tyler, Texas. Bethina passed away in 1988 in Grand Saline. Frank and Bethina are buried in the Woodside Cemetery. Nadine Hudgens married Robert Charles Phillips in 1959 in Grayson County. Robert was born in 1941. Their son, Bobby Dean Phillips, was born in 1960 in Van Zandt County and serves as a Van Zandt County Commissioner. The Van Zandt County Genealogical Society is pleased to award Commissioner Phillips with a certificate of 100 years living in Van Zandt County for his great-grandparents, Benjamin Pinckney Hudgens and Genora Nancy Fisher, as well as a certificate for early settlers of the Free State of Van Zandt for his 2 times great-grandparents, Milton Brown Fisher and Tennessee E. Yarborough. You want to get a picture?
Yeah.
This is 100 years living in Lansing County. That's for Bobby's grandparents, and this is the early settler of the free state of Kansas.
You can go down there.
Let me tell you a little bit about urban settler means that the people resided in, they were born here, they died here, they did this here in our county prior to before 1870. So Bobby's family's been here quite some time.
Right here. Through him.
And right here, please. And there you go.
For your time, right?
We like to do a surprise. It's going for your fun, but here you are. And this is pictures of your grandparents.
This is my grandpa.
That's your grandpa.
This one over here is my grandpa.
Right. And your. All that. There you go.
Thank you.
That's good stuff.
Oh, it's fun. We love to tell people about their history. This is a wonderful place. Van Zandt County is a fantastic place to live, and our history is rich. And the people who came here had a lot of tenacity, because when they got here and they founded this county, they had some big obstacles to get home. But his family's been here a long time. Well, every year the Genealogical Society provides you with our annual report to let you know a little bit of what we do. Our Genealogical Society is located in the courthouse annex, and which, by the way, we completely appreciate y'all providing to us. Everything we do in the genealogy library is offered for free to our patrons. Everybody who works in the genealogy library is volunteer. We're all volunteers. I've got some people here today that help with some of the things we do. Linda Mays and Lisa Mays Gonzalez. They're back here. But our main goal is to educate people about genealogy and how to do it and how much fun it is and how much rich history we have here. In our county, there's going to be an article that David did in the Wills Point Chronicle on Shirley Fuller. She turned 100 years old recently, and Shirley started our genealogy library in 1984 in a little room right here in the courthouse. And I think she was in the basement. Do we have any idea where the room was? We don't know. But anyway, in 1984, Shirley got some books together and she started, she parked here in the courthouse and started our genealogy library. And then in 1988, the commissioners were kind enough, y'all were, to give us a room over in the courthouse annex. And that's where we've been ever since. And we love it there. Our source of income for the library is the parking, and which we've been doing. We park on Saturdays on first Monday weekend, and all that money goes into the library, and that's how we support the library, and that's how we're able to provide everything for free. At the genealogy library, in addition to all the services we provide programs every month for genealogy, research, and how to do genealogy, and how much fun it is. But anyway, we have books and computers and Wi-Fi, and we offered our Wi-Fi to the county attorney. So anyway, we can help out. We're more than happy to. In your report, it shows you who the officers are and who our committees are. And a couple of things I'd like to highlight, and that is that we have 12 volunteer librarians who work 4,547 hours managing the genealogy library, all volunteers. Our parking crew works 1,293 hours parking on first Monday on Saturdays. The librarians work 2,779 hours on special projects. The quarterly editors work 248 hours compiling our award-winning quarterly that we send out. It's called our Heritage. 347 out-of-county patrons visited our library. This is all in 2024. 1,096 in-county patrons visited the genealogy library. 57 out-of-state patrons visited the library. And we provide free educational programs in person via Zoom and Facebook Live. We try to make it so that anybody can come to a meeting. We have our meetings in the Buchanan room at the main library, but we also do Zoom and on Facebook Live so that we can reach out to whoever they want to sit in their living room and attend. We can make it happen. So we have a youth volunteer librarian program because we're trying to encourage the youth in our county to understand research and local history and how to figure out what their family is. We have done a lot of improvements to the library. And one of the things we try to do is, one of our goals is to mark every War of 1812 veterans grave that's buried here in Van Zandt County. And oddly enough, there are over 60 of them. I have found over 60 War of 1812 veterans here in our county. And to me, that's astounding because you think about what we were doing out here in 1812. But what happened is they all fought in the War of 1812 and then they came to Texas. We even have people who served in the Battle of New Orleans buried here. And so it's fascinating. Our expenditures in 2024 were $22,558.01. And that's what we spent on the library to keep it going, to operate all of the software that we offer and to purchase new books. We have almost 7,000 volumes in our library of books that we have purchased and been donated over the years. We have a Facebook page and a website page, and we have 12 volunteer librarians who operate the library Monday through Saturday. We're open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 3, and Friday and Saturday, 10 to 12:30. We're only closed on courthouse holidays. We have a whole army of parking volunteers who stand out there in all kinds of weather. It can be hot or cold, pouring rain or not. We're out there, getting money for the library. And then there's a list in here of our monthly programs. And I'd like to read a little poem to you about genealogists. We are the chosen. In each family, there is one who seems called to find the ancestors, to put flesh on their bones and make them live again, to tell the family story and to feel that ancestors know and approve. Genealogy research is not a cold gathering of facts, but instead it's breathing life into all who have gone before. We are the chosen, the storytellers of the tribe. Don't forget your roots and come to the genealogy library, please, and see us. We'd love to have you.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you.
That's probably the best part of our day right here.
It absolutely was the best part of my day.
It's for a generation that seems like it's so disconnected from its past and its roots. And how important it is. I was thinking to have somebody that's keeping us anchored to it.
Yeah, well, we try to bring all of our history to where it applies currently. And we have all the county commissioner records transcribed from back in the 1800s. And it's really fun and we get in there all the time and see who was doing what, because y'all have been in existence ever since the county started and in 1847. So we have a lot of those records transcribed, which is fascinating, And don't wish you had $1 for every time somebody said, I need this road fixed.
Yes, $100.
Yeah.
Well, I've been over there on the looking up articles out of the Van Zandt News from the historical documents. So it's the microfiche readers and all. So it's quite fascinating to go back and read some of that stuff.
It's fun too. It's fun. The judge comes and sees us now and then, and because we have all of the newspapers from the beginning up to currently, and our wonderful newspaper editor, he keeps us even current. They give us the newspapers of every year. So, and we just, and the most, and I tell David this all the time, and people don't realize it, the most valuable thing they do is the obituaries. We get more inquiries for obituaries from long ago, and we fortunately have all of them. And so it's people can reach out to their own history and read about their ancestors. So can you all approve the report?
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the Van Zandt County Genealogical Society annual report for 2024?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Phillips, second by Commissioner Barton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. And thank you for our space. Thank you.
Item number 6, discuss, consider renewing Teresa Bird for the 2-year term for the ESD number 4 board of directors. So is there a motion?
Almost.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. ESD 4 is the Emergency Services District, for those of you that not aware. Item number 7, Discuss and consider authorizing county judge to sign the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services grant contract for legal staff and services to process child welfare cases. So. No, if I submitted that, was that something from you, Tonda? No, child welfare cases. Yeah, it was submitted by me. Look at it.
Judge, it is the money that the state gives to, provide defense to indigent people in CPS cases, where CPS is attempting to remove a child or to
Okay,
make a family compliant services.
okay. So indigent defense for CPS services. So is there a motion to allow me to sign this grant? Yes.
Yeah, I'd motion to, for the county judge to sign this grant for contract for legal staff and services, process child welfare cases.
All right, motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. There are a lot of grants that we deal with on a regular basis. Item number 8, discuss and consider authorizing county judge to sign a contract with Debris Tech for disaster debris monitoring services. Part of the emergency event that was declared back in May of 2024 was related to the trees that had fallen on the road and the damages to the road. And FEMA declared, we eventually, through all of our collection of data, were able to get a federally declared disaster for Van Zandt County. And with that disaster declaration, that means that we would get FEMA money for cleaning up of the debris and repairing the roads. And TDM also offered to pay. FEMA pays roughly 75% of the cost, and TDM, which is the Texas Department of Emergency Management, through the governor, has authorized the payment of the remaining 25%. So theoretically, all of the costs to get this debris removed will be reimbursed to us. We'll pay it up front and then they'll reimburse us. Now, FEMA requires that 2 companies be selected, or it requires that a monitoring company is hired to monitor the debris collection company. So they work in conjunction, but it's kind of a check on them. And we approved the contract for Drury Construction to do the actual removal of the debris. And then the committee that scored the RFP for the monitoring services selected Debris Tech as the winner of that. And we approved that when they made that announcement, and then Debris Tech has provided us with the contract in order to do their monitoring services. And so that is what is before us today, is the contract from Debris Tech in order to start the monitoring services. So Drury Construction is ready to start next week as soon as this contract is approved and signed. So is there a motion to
I'll motion.
all right, is there a second?
I'll
Yeah,
second that.
Yeah, and I would say, Judge, a lot of folks have been disappointed in our slow reaction time to this. I've gotten calls even today and yesterday, and it's just about daily. The issue is that precinct 2, my precinct, has 80% of the damage, the down trees, the problems associated with that. And we could take your money, tax money, and go out there and clean all that up. We could have done that over the last year. Or we can get some of the money that we've already given to the federal government, and we could use that for our purposes of cleaning this up. And that's what we've chosen to do. We're trying to use your money wisely, but it has been an inconvenience for folks in precinct 2, all the precincts, but 80% of the damage being in precinct 2. It's been a particular burden for the folks in my precinct. But that process is underway now, and that's what this is here to solve. So I appreciate everybody's patience. I also appreciate your frustration. And I want you to know that we are working toward getting that cleared and cleaned up, and we hope to have everybody back on the road shortly.
All right.
And all of mine was not turned in. I just want to publicly let people know, all of debris on my section was not turned in. And we will deal with it as soon as we know exactly what we need to do.
All right.
I'll second your motion. I'll second it.
Yeah. So is there any further discussion? Again, this is for the removal of the trees that were came down in the storms in May of last year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 9, discuss and consider approval of 9 Tree RV Park.
We're missing number one.
How would the truck say?
I'm sorry.
You're off.
His, he's got a different agenda than we do. This is discussing consider the traffic study.
Okay.
My number 9 is the traffic study.
All right.
His is RV.
Let me get it out. All right, go ahead and read it for me.
Number 9, discuss consider traffic study on Highway 64 near Van Wheeler.
All right.
And this is mine. Big Tex RV Park just east of Highway 64 and 858. I had contacted TxDOT, see if they could do a traffic study right there because there's been some near misses right there, and I believe the speed limit is 70. And in order for them to do a traffic study, they have to get permission from the commissioner's court. And I talked to her and I told her that I would bring it to court and try to get her one, and we get back to TxDOT so they can do that. So I motioned to get permission to TxDOT to do a traffic study on Highway 64.
Do you have this area?
It's from Highways 64 and 858, and I don't know how long the stretch is going to be, but it's in that area.
And this does not cost us.
It does not cost us anything.
Right.
It just gives TxDOT permission to do it.
I'll second that.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 10. Discuss and consider approval of 9 Tree RV Park on Farm to Market 858 located in precinct 4.
This is mine also. We approved this subdivision with conditions back in October. The fire marshal's office back then, the person who was in charge of the septic inspection did not turn in their paperwork on time, and it was not done properly. So we accepted with conditions that they would get that done. And Ashley at the fire marshal's office had got that turned into TCEQ and the OSSF, and they have everything done. So I would like to motion to approve 9 Tree RV Park for filing purposes only. They have everything turned in now.
All right, motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 11, discuss and consider approval of bond for Michelle Kinney, the first assistant county auditor in the amount of $5,000. So this is just routine for the auditors, correct? Assistant auditors. Is there a motion to approve the bond for Michelle Kinney?
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 12, discuss and consider acceptance of a check from the city of Edgewood in the amount of $1,960.20 for payment of road material hauled by Van Zandt County in precinct 3.
Yeah, this was mine, Judge, and that's just a reimbursement for rock that we hauled to them for the city. And I make a motion that we accept that.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Item number 13, update and progress of the P25 radio system implementation. And we got a lot of people working right now on trying to get things installed. And this week we have the microwaves. Well, I will let Barry. Let me run through it real quick, my notes, and then we'll let Barry do an update. This week we have the microwaves being installed on the towers. The microwaves are the dishes that go up on the top of the tower that send the data between the towers. It'll be a circle or ring in which the data will be going around, and these microwave dishes are what broadcast the data from one tower to another. So that's going up today. We've got mobile devices, which is mobile radios being installed in the vehicles, the sheriff's department, and then the fire department's apparatuses. The crews will be actually going out to the fire department's physical locations and installing mobile radios there. Our equipment is a radio frequency equipment. These are the antennas that are on the towers, and they're going to be completed as far as all the installation goes and by the end of March. We are scheduling a meeting with the fire chiefs in the next week or so, and to go over progress that we've got and actually the programming aspects of it. We're working on the radio programming and training. Finalization should be in March, and we hope to have pretty much everything installed by April so we can start our testing. So that's what I know. I will let Barry know.
You did a good job.
Okay.
To make it easy on me. Good morning, commissioners and judge. I'm Barry Black with Chalk Communications Group. To give you an update on the radio project. To kind of start, I'm going to start with the tower infrastructure. Those are the 4 towers that have been built, and the 5th one down in Ben Wheeler. It's got, shelter, generator, and all the utilities. But the other sites have, shelter, generator, and a 300-foot tower, full compound with security fence and all that. That project, which was a completely separate RFP process from the radio system purchase, was provided by Sabre Industries. That's probably 95 to 97% done. All that's left on that project are a few small punch list items that are really data, kind of as-built documentation, let's say. And then we need to test all the alarms that Sabre provided. So we're holding their final acceptance, a portion of their final acceptance money for that testing that we have to test through the whole system. So that's really close to being completely wrapped up. As the judge said, the microwave backhaul is going in right now. Those are 6-foot dishes. You'll see 2 big 6-foot dishes going up on every tower here over the next 3 to 4 weeks. In fact, I think they hung one yesterday. But those are in process right now. After the backhaul system is in place, then you can start optimizing the system. So there's some configuration. Some of the engineers from L3 Harris will be in town to get everything configured and ready to go on the system side. Once all that's done, they can start the acceptance testing. And there's a lot of testing that's done. There's coverage testing where the whole county is gridded off into grids, and they have to drive a vehicle with radios into those grids and test the system and make sure. This is where they make sure that your coverage meets the contract requirements. So it's super important. There's another part of the coverage testing that requires, there's 14 buildings in the county that are mandatory coverage. They have to have 95% coverage throughout the building, this being one of them. And so those have to be tested and shown that they meet the coverage requirements. If they don't, L3 Harris is on the hook to make it right. No additional money to the county on that. So the contract wording is such to cover that. Hunt County, my company is also the consultant for Hunt County's P25 radio project that's going on right now. And they are actually at that point of doing acceptance testing on their system. They've got 7 sites. And so if, depending on, it's going well, really well over there. But anything that I learned from that project, I'll leverage for you guys as we go forward with that testing here to make sure it's efficient, quick, and we can get to cut over and final acceptance but make sure all the T's and I's are dotted and crossed. Let's see here. There'll be, once the system is tested and all, there'll be planning for cutover. And that's just to make sure that on that day when you go from your old system to your new system, that there's no hiccups. And that starts from dispatch all the way out to the users. And that includes the panic button systems that are in some of your buildings here around town, that those aren't cut off at that time, that those will then still communicate with dispatch and officers. So currently, the county and the judge elaborated on many of these. The county is currently in the process of coordinating and getting all the mobile radios installed in all the vehicles. Tahoes and in the police vehicles, in the fire apparatuses as well. And there's also radios, control station radios that are going into the fire stations as well. So that's all kind of going right now. The county is also finalizing their radio system database. Unlike a previous radio system, this system requires that users' radios be put into a database, and only those users can use your towers. So there's a way of controlling access, if you will. That database is being worked on. It's called the UAS. But and then the development of the talk groups, the channels, if you will, or talk groups that the users will talk on. Those are all being developed right now. And the encryption plan is also being discussed and finalized. All of this is required to program those radios to be able to work on the system.
Will ambulances be a part of this system so that folks know that when they call in for an ambulance, that the ambulances will be able to be responding?
So that great question. Yes, absolutely. There's Christus has been there was a meeting, Judge, was that about a week ago? Y'all had a meeting with Christus
Yes.
about
Last week.
joining the system and being on the system. It's our understanding that they made a substantial purchase of radios, like almost $500,000, I believe, of new radios to be able to work on our system and on other systems as well.
And the county didn't pay for those radios, the company paid for the radios?
It's my understanding that was Christus 100%.
Yes, they have their own system, and what we're working on is what's called interop, and how we can get their system interfacing with our system. That's the next couple of weeks project, because you got that same issue with the game warden, the DPS, City of Canton. There's a whole bunch that we have to interoperability set up.
I think the judge can see my next bullet. Finalizing the interoperability plan. That's another thing that's going on right now. And that's super important. After 9/11, I think a lot of people heard, hey, officers couldn't talk to police officers couldn't talk to fire. This fire couldn't talk to that fire. And there are different ways to get interoperability. And the goal is to have interoperability with all your neighboring counties, with, of course, with your EMS service, but also with, and you have it today with the City of Canton, but with other surrounding agencies that will make, mutual aid and all, the best for the county. Also, the judge also elaborated on this. There's training that's underway, has been planned for radio users and dispatchers. There's already been a lot of training already scheduled and completed. And once we get to final acceptance, that's when the system meets all the requirements of the contract, with coverage, installation, as-built documentation, training, all those things are satisfied. Then and only then will L3 Harris get their final acceptance milestone. So that's kind of a quick rundown through, kind of where we stand on the project. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You know when your approximate timeline to get this thing rolling is?
We should have L3 Harris here to answer that question. I think we're
Sometime in May.
Yeah,
That's the best.
Yeah, that's probably the best we have right now. If things go well, it should be somewhere in that time frame.
This next coming May or?
Yes,
what?
this May.
Oh, okay.
This May.
Okay,
Yes.
2025.
Yeah, just check.
Yes. Yeah.
25.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there are some deadlines. I mean, they're not, for the use of the ARPA funds, of course, right? So, yeah, next May might be a problem. Yeah,
No, we don't.
sure.
do that.
But,
All right. So are there any more questions for Barry? Don't sit down. You're next.
oh, that's
Okay.
right.
All right, the next item is to discuss and approve order number 4 in critical spares order with L3 Harris for the purchase of radios and accessories under the current contract pricing. So we're just going over order number 4. We did not get to critical spares order in time to put on the agenda. So
Yeah.
And those of you that haven't seen, this is the order. What it is, we've kind of cleaned up what we've had. We've had a lot of orders 1, 2, and 3. And not everything got ordered on orders 1, 2, and 3. They've been approved by the Commissioner Court, but they haven't got ordered. And so we kind of consolidated the items in order number 1 that never got ordered into this order right here. And what we're doing, we bought the XP 45s. These radios are for the road and bridge departments, or portables. The XL 185. This is a portable radio. This is a higher end one it's going to be for the fire marshal office. And it's
Intrinsically safe.
Yeah. Intrinsically safe means what, Barry?
So intrinsically safe means if you find yourself in a situation where you've got gases or something that's combustible and you don't have an intrinsically safe radio, it's typically used for firefighters. But it's also used for, various chemical plants and inspectors and things like that. But an intrinsically safe radio will keep from the radio potentially creating a spark that could ignite something. And so that's what the intrinsically safe part of it is. It's and it includes not only the radio, but the battery that powers the radio has to be intrinsically safe.
So we've got 3 of those, and then we've got 3 tri-band, the XL 200p, and these are the top of the line. They have when it's tri-band, it means it will do what are the 3? The 700, 800
VHF, which is what you're on today, and then UHF as well.
So it catches all of the different bands, and these 3 radios are for the people working on the project, which is Ron Beaver, IT, and Jeremy Jones, and also for the emergency management, Vicki McAllister, so that she would have access to all the different ones. So that those 3 radios are for those individuals. And then we've got 112 speaker mics. These are the mics that plug into the radio and are mounted right here on the edge, where you can it has a speaker and it has a microphone, and that way the officer doesn't have to reach down and use it. So that reach down and fumble with the radio itself, he can do it from there. So there's 112 of those, and this is for both law enforcement and for fire and the fire marshal. And then there's some high-end speaker mics that there's 47 of these, and these are for the fire portables. And explain what the difference is on those.
Sure. This is Harris makes a radio that's called the XL 400. It's the very, very top of fire radios. And it's a super expensive radio. You are not buying one of those, but the speaker mic that connects to that radio can be used on other radios that Harris has. And that radio, or that speaker mic, is rated at higher temperatures. It's got a much thicker cable. So when a firefighter has his radio under his jacket and that speaker mic's coming up here, it's got the most protection that you can get on any Harris speaker mic. It's also got more speakers and microphones, or more microphones on it for noise canceling. So like, for instance, if a firefighter's, it's a loud environment. So it's really the best you can get when you're physically in a fire working it. If you're out at the truck and you're pumping or something like that, then these other radios, or these other speaker mics that the judge just talked about will be, very, good for, things like that. But it's just a more sophisticated, higher temperature rated speaker mic.
So, and then we've got the chargers for all of these portable radios for the road and bridge. There's 6-bay chargers and the extra batteries. And so that we've got. So the total is 104,166. And of that amount, roughly half of that is actually from previous orders. And in regard to the dollar volume that we have previously approved, but we're consolidating the items onto this order right here. So.
And that's grant money.
Where's that money
Yes,
come from?
yeah, it's coming out of the grant. That's coming. This is part of the Harris contract.
Yeah.
That it's in a Harris contract. Some of these microphones were not in the contract, not originally designed, but we have enough savings in other areas that will cover it in that regard.
But like Brandon said, this is not county money. This is coming from the ARPA grant, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, the payment on.
Yes.
And I didn't allude to this earlier, but there is an amendment to the contract that's underway. And that's to kind of clean up all the money. And talking on that point, when the commissioners, when the court decided to buy radios for certain volunteer fire departments, and then to make other volunteer fire departments and police departments in the county buy their own radios, well, the cost for all those radios were in the original contract with Harris. And so now when these other agencies go and buy their radios, y'all don't have to buy those radios, right? Y'all made that decision. That money comes off the total amount of the contract. So there's a substantial amount of money that's saved there, if that makes sense. And that's being addressed in Amendment 3 that we're working on. And the critical spares are in there too.
Right.
And all, but that's
But part of the plan is for that money to be used for to buy down the contract maintenance
the master service
in the
agreement.
future. We're not actually it's all ARPA money. And so it's going to be used to help buy down the maintenance over the 15-year
15
contract
years.
period.
Do we know how much of the ARPA money's left as of right now? How much we have?
It's all allocated. I can tell you that, but as far as how much is in there, it's roughly $1 million, I believe, a little bit more than $1 million.
Probably a little bit more than $1 million,
there's
yeah.
2 or 3 million actually.
All the
But
money,
we
yeah.
still owe Harris 2 or 3 million. So
She was kind of making faces.
No, I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
He just doesn't know what that looks like. Anybody to agree with it?
So I have that number. I get it to you, but I don't have it with me right now.
And on the maintenance contract, it starts 3 years after we get on.
Correct.
3 years. So if it starts in May, we have 3 years before we start
No.
paying the maintenance contract, or is
Yeah,
that
the
right?
live date, if we go May or June, yes, then we're under warranty for 3 years from the date we go live, or not cut over, they would go live. And
Year
then
4 we
after
start paying the maintenance.
we start paying maintenance, and the contract with L3 Harris is for 15 years. And so our maintenance costs, and this is what's pretty incredible, is that we are paying 2022 rates for all the way into the future. We've got our costs locked down with this contract. It was in that regard.
And one little clarification on when the warranty, Commissioner Martin, to answer your question, when that master service agreement starts, it is 3 years later, but it's 3 years, not when you go live, when you do final acceptance. So you could go live on the system. Let's say the coverage is all great and Harris still hasn't delivered all your as-built documentations. Maybe we have a small punch list of some minor things. If they want to drag their feet for 120 days to get us all that, we're not accepting the system until then. That's my advice. So you're getting more warranty, if you will, you know. So it's beneficial to them to once you guys have cut over and it's met all the requirements of the contract, for them to get all that documentation, those final things cleaned up, the punch list done, and then they can send in their final acceptance paper for invoice for consideration. But I've seen it before where feet get drugged there at the end. The system is working well. Users are on the system, and it takes them 6 months to get all that documentation to you before final acceptance. So that would extend it even another 6 months. If it got there.
So and Fruitvale ISD is actually on the system right now. It's a very wide open system right now, and we're using them. All their school buses have radios in them, and they're using the system right now in that regard.
Yeah, they're the one side over at the sheriff's office is physically on the air now because it doesn't need microwave backhaul since it's connected to dispatch with the micro.
I think it'd be important to say, this is just not law enforcement radios. This is also schools.
That is correct.
So we're protecting kids with that. It's just not law enforcement, fire, police. It tied in with the schools for the kids and the teachers and administrators also.
That's a great point, and I did not bring this up on the list, but I will now. I believe, and Judge, correct me on the grant, but y'all received another grant to get that 6th channel. And I think that was related to schools, wasn't it?
Siri grant for more repeater, yeah.
So that 6th channel has been delivered, it's been received, and it's at the sites, at the shelters to be installed so that y'all have additional capacity for more users at the schools to be able to communicate with each other, dispatch, and other first responders.
All right, any further discussion on order number 4? Is there a motion to accept order number 4?
Motion to accept order number 4, critical spares order with L3 Harris.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion passes. All right. Item numbers. Yes, item number 15, discuss and consider authorizing county judge to sign a contract with Komatsu Architecture for design, development, construction documents, permitting and regulatory review and bidding for restoration, Van Zandt County Courthouse windows and doors. Now, I want to clarify, some people think we're doing a restoration of the courthouse. This is only for windows and doors. This is for the metal frames, but let me kind of give you a little history here. Right offhand. So in the 2024 budget meetings, when we were working on public buildings and how much to allocate for not restoration, but maintenance for the buildings. And we were also knew that we had a grant going out for the Texas Historical Commission, but we went ahead and budgeted, and the Commissioner Court did $500,000 in public buildings improvements that to be used for maintenance. And I believe that the comment was we need to allocate each year a certain amount of dollars to help do maintenance work on the courthouse. So the $500,000 is in the current year's budget to be used for maintenance. And for those you don't know, we've had a lack of maintenance for the county for this building for many years. The best I can tell is 92. Or the early 90s is the last time we had something done on the outside, and that was because we had a hailstorm and it broke a bunch of windows, and we had to have windows replaced, and at the same time they did some painting around it. That's and I have nothing to document. I need to go back to the Van Zandt News and document that, because it's strictly from John Bowman, who's been here 30 years, giving me a history of what's going on. So and so with the money that was allocated to public buildings maintenance, what is the best use of it? And the thing that I feel like is the best use was to help with the water intrusion into the building. That is what's caused so much damage. We've done a lot of work up on the roof. We got a new roof. We got the coping stones on the top, those at the very top run. We got new mortar put on there to help keep water from going down behind the stones. But now we have water intrusion from rainstorms that hit the building. And especially on the north side, if you go look at the district courtroom windows, you will see major water damage on the inside from water coming in. If you ask Susan about the clerk's office, when we have a major storm coming from the north, it floods. They get a lot of rain in there. If you look at a lot of the windows all around, you will see that some of them won't close, and they're just kind of partially closed, but they won't close. And then there's other ones that you got the 4th and 5th floor. 5th floor is a jail, and the windows in the jail most of them are plexiglass, and they've been replaced. Or they're barely sticking in there. It's all those windows need to be replaced and put in there. And the reason when you have the windows cracked like that, water and moisture gets in there, and we've got records stored up there. a lot of very old records that are stored up there. And so you got the moisture that's coming in and damaging the records. So even though it's not climate controlled up there, there's still got damage from that. So, and then, many windows, I told you won't close, and there's many that will not open. And we don't normally open the windows, except there is a kind of a flaw in our heating and air conditioning system in that you either have heat or you have air conditioning, but you can't change it. But it takes a 2-day process to change from one to the other. So like right now, the heat is on and it'll stay on. But when we get 70-degree days, it gets very muggy inside the courthouse because you can't turn the water off. You know, you can turn the fan off, but the water's still going through there, and that causes the humidity levels to get kind of high in the courtroom. So consequently, people open windows to kind of cool it off. But there's a lot of windows that you can't open in that regard. So that's what I envision as the most critical area to start working on to help prevent the water from coming in the building and to clean up. The other thing is all these windows have steel frames on them, and the windows that you'll see out here that are painted black, that was done by trustees probably in the 90s, about the time we had the windows replaced out there. And you'll notice that it's only painted up to about the third floor, because that's as high as the ladders would go. And nothing has been painted on the 4th floor and on up. And so it is, you can see it rusting. If you go back to the backside over here, you'll see all that. So that metal is not protected. And so that, you know, we need to have it stripped, sanded down, and primed and repainted, and then sealed with a sealer and sealer silicone seal around the stone. So that was that's what I think is the most important part. And so I choose Komatsu to do a spec bid. First of all, we cannot come up with our own spec bid because of so many things. Or even if we did and we put it out there, unless you have a common spec to work from, your vendors are going to come up with different quotes for different things, and you need to have a common spec in that regard. And that's why I chose the architecture firm of Komatsu, because they have done many courthouse restoration projects that have been completed, and they probably have 7 underway right now, 5 to 7 that are underway. And they actually did the Falls County courthouse, which is the same architecture. It was built in 38, same architecture as this building right here. They restored it in 2019, so they're very familiar with the architect style, and it has the same, I don't know if it's the same stone, but it has a lot of the same marble. So I've worked with them. They assisted us in applying for the grant for the courthouse restoration, and they provided a lot of help, and they never charged us for anything of that. And they work well with the THC. That's the other thing we need to do is to get all of this has to be coordinated with THC to make sure it meets their standards, their requirements, the type of glass that's going to be used. That's what the specs need to be, the glass that will be used in the windows, the type of sealer that needs to be used, and how it's to be done. So, and their proposal, and they're going to do a complete evaluation. There's about over 180 windows in the courthouse, and they'll create the restoration specs for each one, and spec in the materials to be used, identify interior repairs. There are places, 4th floor, it's really bad, where the water intrusion has basically destroyed the mortar on the inside of the building. And you can actually see the outside stone because the mortar on the inside is gone. And a lot of these, and that's why each window is going to be specific as to, well, is there a mortar repair that needs to be done on the inside or not? And that's going to add to the cost, so you can narrow it down. So, and then what I asked them to do is to make it a multi-year project. Okay. Or because we can't afford to do it all at one time. So I gave them guidelines. We're going to start with the north side right here, the front, and then go to the 5th floor and work on that. In other words, where the most water intrusion is occurring. And then we can spread it out over a number of years based on the, what our budget will allow in that regard. And again, it'll, you know, we can't contract in the price for the multi-years out, but we can contract an increase in rent. So, and then Komatsu would also, they're gonna come out and spend 2 days doing analysis of all the windows, and then they'll put together the specs to prepare a bid, a common bid, and then they'll put it out for bid. And they know all of the people in the industry that do window repair because of their experience with historical renovations. So they'll put it out to bid, and then we'll get the bids back and make a decision. That's the intent anyway. And then they've also can provide construction administration through the project. Even when we bid it out, we get a bid, get in, we can get them to come back and make sure that the people that are bidding it, who won the RFPs, are actually doing as was designed. So that is in the estimate that they put into their contract was right at $90,000 to do this multi-year project. So, any questions about it? Y'all got the bid in the binder?
I think what I'd like to do, Judge, we've had a lot of projects. We have a lot of frustration in the community right now. And I think that with the consideration that we have big projects that are out there, we have projects that have been discussed and talked about. I think it would be important for us to listen to what the people have to say about whether or not they're interested in that they believe that windows are the thing that needs to be replaced first, or that they believe that electrical needs to be replaced first, or, air conditioning, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying, I'm not talking about Komatsu. I don't know whether or not, I'll take your word for that they're good, but I think I would prefer, before we got ready to hire an architect to determine whether or not windows need to be replaced, is to hear what the people have to say related to whether or not this is the right time and these are the right actions to move forward on. So what I'd like to ask is that we just have a workshop that we can have in the evening when people can participate and they can be here, and we can hear what they have to say regarding, the issues that we're dealing with here. And now I recognize and I understand that you're between a rock and a hard place, because the prior commissioners' courts have said, let's do something piecemeal. And others have said, no, let's look at a comprehensive approach to the courthouse. So I think that what we need to do is we just need to, as Commissioner Curtis said in the last one, I think we need to ask the people what they want. I think we have professionals in our community that understand building, they understand architecture, they understand the processes, and this is their money. And so I'd like to hear what they have to say.
So you basically want a table.
I would prefer that we at least have an opportunity to hear from them. Yes, Your Honor.
To do a workshop.
I think we need to do workshops on all of our big projects, and I think we need to do them one at a time.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, like, people don't understand why it's costing $95,000 to put the windows in, and they might not even understand what the THC is, like the Texas Historical Commission. They may not know that. They may not know. There's a lot of things that people don't know, and we get accused of. I was in a pretty sacred place Sunday morning and was called an idiot. And I just had to agree with her, because sometimes people, what they see us do, they don't understand what we're having to deal with. So I'm with Cliff. I think we ought to table it, and I do appreciate what you're trying to do, because anybody that had a house would try to keep water from coming in their house. Like, there's not a person in here that would not try to do that, but they don't understand why it's going to cost $500,000 to put windows in a house. But the Texas Historical Commission, we're married to them somehow, right? I mean,
yes.
So
They
they
need to-
have a lot of
they need to
leverage.
approve whatever changes or modifications.
We can't do anything on this property from the sidewalk, outside the sidewalk, inside without their permission. Is that correct?
Well, we can do regular maintenance and stuff, but as far as making changes.
I'm just trying to make a point.
altering-
We built a retainer wall out there in the 90s. And they almost got in trouble for that. And the commissioners court at that time were told, you can't do anything from the curb in.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to make a point. There's a lot that we have to answer for to them, but they don't know it. The public doesn't know.
Right.
And the newspaper's not always clear on it. Like I was placed at a meeting by a local newspaper in my precinct.
Not the one here.
No, not the one here. I was placed in a meeting. I heard I was placed in a meeting. So there's a whole lot of confusion. We need to have workshops. I don't care if they last 12 hours a day. I'd rather have everything clear and on the table and there'll be a general consensus on the court where we're not divided on everything. And then and I want facts on everything. I don't want presupposition. I don't want, I think it's going to be this much. I want the truth. And we can deal with the truth, but we cannot deal with, I think it's going to be this way. I can't make decisions based upon, well, it may be $50 million or it could be $25 million. I need something in concrete before I say, okay, well, this will, and I'm not afraid of what anybody's going to find out. I want to make that clear. I can deal with the truth. If we've got major problems in this building, we'll deal with it as a community. If we have problems with the jail that are major, we'll deal with that as a community. But we need to have those workshops so that everybody's clear. I think that's fair. It's the American way. And we're elected. We're elected to serve the people and make decisions. It's a representative government. They did educate us in Grants Land. So so I just want to. I've said enough. That's enough. I think that's clear, right? Like all of our projects need to be, especially those big ones.
Well, define the big ones.
Jail,
Okay.
Paul Michael building. See, right now, like when we're thinking about the courthouse and we're talking about spending $500,000 on the courthouse, and I mean, we took 5 breaths and we were talking about leaving the courthouse last week. So we look like we're confused from outside looking in. And I just want to get on the same page and I'm not afraid of what anybody finds out. Like I've heard people say, if they go digging around here, they're going to shut this down. They're going to shut that down. If they shut it down, we'll deal with it as a community. They're not going to shut us down. They don't want our problems. We need to solve our problems as a community. So we can do that. And we can deal with the truth. Nobody can make good decisions with half truths and presuppositions. Nobody can. So we just take our time. There's no reason. Everything that's in front of us, I may be wrong, but everything that's in front of us, we don't have to do it today. We can take a deep breath, and God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth and 2 eyes. We can use those things and 5 fingers, yeah. And we can listen to one another. I like listening to y'all, even though it's, I like listening to the public, even if they're misinformed, because they ask questions that I might not have asked. Because I have a lot on my plate. You look at the judge this morning, he has a lot on his plate. You walk in his office, he's surrounded by paperwork and computers and screens. And that's pretty much everybody that works in this courthouse. So we don't always know what all the questions are. And sometimes we're doing the best we can. So I'd like to have workshops, and I don't care how many people come to them. I wish this courtroom was bigger, and I don't care how long they take. Now, there used to be a guy in this town that said, I'll meet you at 2 o'clock in the morning if I know you're coming.
But we need to have them in the afternoons. We need to have them when people can come.
And it's going to cost money to do it in the afternoon, more money than we normally.
Afternoon or evening?
Evenings.
Yeah, whatever that means,
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. Whatever needs to be done to move forward on fixing the courthouse, I'm for it. Okay, and if we need to do workshops, And let everybody know what to do. You know, I thought we were explaining a lot of it today, but the workshops will give more input in that regard. So I'm all for that. Do you want to set the date and time now, or you just want to come out with it?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at the calendar. I don't have one in front of me,
I
but,
think we just come out with it,
All right,
because we don't know what our schedules are right now either.
okay.
I think generally speaking, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays are, generally the most open for folks. And it would give us an opportunity to reach the most, or give people the opportunity to come.
And the workshop covered more than just the renovation.
Agreed.
The courthouse renovation, but there's a lot of other stuff.
well, we
Well,
need to stay on target.
That's right.
We need to stay with one at a time until we work it through.
All of the
Because,
issues.
because the town hall meetings, everybody got everything mixed up.
Right.
And, you know,
So you have one on the courthouse, you have one on this issue, you have one on that issue, and it may get into many different areas. We may, on the courthouse, we'll talk about all courthouse issues, right?
When you release the agenda, will you please put in the agenda what you're gonna be speaking on? Last time that was not done.
you talking about the,
Yes, when you release the agenda for a town hall meeting, it states that you're supposed to put on the agenda what is gonna be covered. That was not done.
All right.
Yes, so if you can please do that so we can prepare.
So is there a motion to table item number 15?
make a motion to table item number 15.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Very much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
To adjourn. Phillips, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up and sitting through the whole thing.
That was a shocker. Really?
Yeah. I think we're gonna record it right here. When you're in a quorum, they record it. I can just-
Here. You sign that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
There you go. You bet.
Oh, I think that, oh, you're real. That's why you're probably sitting around last.
I don't know.